Hi all, Luke here from Conan Fitness. Welcome to the exercise of the month. This time we're actually reviewing some stretches, some very popular stretches that we've been using a lot over quite some time, and since we do them so popularly we thought why not put them in as exercises of the month. Since we tell so many people to do them, then you can take them away and review them, break them down, and obviously use them yourselves because they're very, very effective stretches. They're what we call anti-gravity stretches, so that basically you're laying on the floor for most of them, and that way you're not actively using your muscles. If you're, for instance, doing a stretch up against a table or on a bench or something like that where you're standing, then you're using muscles to hold you up, so your muscles can't totally relax, otherwise you'd fall over. So in these stretches, great way to totally relax, let the muscle relax, let the muscle stretch. Firstly, we're going to take you through a hamstring stretch that's totally anti-gravity, lying on the floor. So let's have a look at our hamstring stretch. Okay, so we're going to start on a very effective hamstring stretch. If I can get you to sit straight under this staircase, Mitchell, you can do this in either a doorway or a staircase, anyway where you can kind of get under it with one leg up on the staircase or on the door frame, and the other leg can just poke straight through. Where you are in reference to it is very important. For instance, from this position, can you get your leg totally straight without pain yet? Is that a bit tight? A bit tight. Yep, so in that case, it's probably a bit too far under the wall. Let's shuffle back a bit until you can have your one leg bent, totally bent, foot on the floor, and this leg totally straight, meaning knee straight, and to not feel too intense a stretch. I don't want an intense stretch at this point. It should be fairly comfortable. Is that okay? That's good. Fantastic. The first thing we can do, guys, is get our legs in midline of the body. So that means I'm going to take Mitchell's foot and put it straight over in line with his groin, basically. Then if we can also do that the same with the left leg, which is just keeping it in line so that they're kind of lined up. We don't want them flaring apart. The next thing I'm going to do is, typically if a hamstring is tight, these muscles will pull and rotate his hips this way. It'll almost like lift the right hip off the ground. So I want him to counterbalance that by pushing this hip down and putting his left hand just under the very tip of the hip, the body of the end of the pelvis there. So it actually rotates his hip this way. It's kind of like facing his hips into his leg, if that makes sense. Rather than his hips facing away from his leg, it's going to face into his leg. That's going to create a bit sharper stretch. Is there a gentle stretch there at the moment? Yeah, it's about medium. About medium? Perfect. What we do from here, folks, is totally relax into the motion. The idea that into the position, I should say. The reason this is effective is because it's anti-gravity. So you notice that if I was to do a standing hamstring stretch, my muscles have to be under tension just to keep me standing, otherwise I'd fall over. So in this position, totally lying, Mitchell can pretty much go to sleep and his muscles just can totally relax and loosen out. As they do that, he should feel the stretch at the back of the knee or the back of the leg ease off just slightly. Is that gently happening? Yep. Just a bit. Then we're going to use the non-stretching leg as the adjuster, basically like a tuning fork to adjust how intense this stretch is. That's why we start with it bent. So what I'm going to get you to do now, keep everything in midline, keep the hip slightly rotated this way. Now let's straighten that leg out just slightly, a bit further, until you feel a bit more of a pull, and then just hold there. How's that? Yep. Okay, good. So that's pulling. Fantastic. Now we want to sit at maybe 6, 7, 8 out of 10. I would not go to a 9 out of 10 stretch. There's no need to in this type of stretch. So it shouldn't be pulling. When a muscle gets too tight, its response is to contract to protect itself. So we don't want that to happen. So I sit at about 7 out of 10, and I just wait in this position. That might take a minute. That might take 5 minutes for someone who's very tight, and that will eventually loosen off. So let's sit here, Mitchell, until you find that that's eased off a bit. Like what would you call it out of 10?
I'll give it about a 7 at the moment.
Yep. So that's probably still good at the moment. Let's not straighten the left leg any further just yet. Keep it where it is, and we'll just wait till it backs off a little. Because as we straighten that leg, the hip flexor of that leg basically pulls on the spine. It's like rotating his pelvis, just that tiny little bit. It's enough to really cause a much more intense stretch, if you will, on the hamstring. How's that feeling? Yep. Is it all right? Yep. So, see if you can go another inch or two. That's probably heaps. How's that feeling? Yeah, real tight. Yep. That does look a little tight because I noticed that go off straight again. So if that's pretty tight, then don't go more than, like I said, 7, 8 out of 10 max. If you need to, pull it back. That there, folks, is how we get a really, really effective stretch out of the hamstring. And I would literally sit there until I feel this back off a bit, and then either go further or leave the stretch there. And the next time you come in, just notice how far you are from the steps or in the doorway, and your aim is to get that leg totally straight to the floor over time. When that happens, you can then move further and further under. And it'll take time for it to stretch, but it will be a very effective stretch. So sometimes you're in here for 3, 4, 5 minutes at a time, each leg, so that you give it time to loosen off and let those muscle fibers stretch out. Then obviously we'd switch sides and do the other leg. Let's give that a shot.